It's horse beef. And today what I would like to do is break down exactly what happened last night at UFC 310. It was a pretty good card. I thought the prelims and the early prelims were definitely substantially better than the main card fights, especially when it comes to the co-main. Gane versus Volkov was a weird result. In my opinion, an absolute robbery. So I should have been 14 for 15 on my picks, really. I should have been, right? Went 13 for 15. I'm pretty happy about that, to be honest, man. I feel like that may have been my most successful pick rate so far since I've been doing this YouTube shit and predicting the results of cards. So let's just get into the first fight of the night. Kennedy Neach-Chuku with the KO over Lucas Peski. Expected that he would win. Did I predict a first round KO? I think I predicted was it first round or second round? I don't know. I predicted a finish, I believe, for Kennedy Neach-Chuku, and he got it. And he looked pretty good. He's just a very, very long, lanky frame for that heavyweight division, as opposed to most of the division, which are just a bunch of fat dudes who can't really cut down or are too lazy to cut down. So Kennedy Neach-Chuku as a proper heavyweight build, lean build, in shape. I feel like he can do some damage at heavyweight, man. Then we get into Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. Did I predict a submission? No, I think I predicted that Clay Guida would get to the very end of the fight. I predicted that he would survive just with his crafty veteran experience, but nah, Chase Hooper caught him in a nasty armbar. Great performance. I do want to see a step up in competition, though, from Chase Hooper, although I'm not too sure how big of a step up makes sense for him. I feel like when he beat Borishev, I expected him to get cleaned up by Borishev, so maybe he's just better than I've always thought, and he's definitely improved quite a bit, especially in the striking department. So I'm not too sure who to see him go up against next. Maybe Ludovic Klein. Dude, give him Ludovic Klein, but Ludovic, I think would probably beat him up pretty bad. But let's just see, man. But Chase Hooper, very promising, massive improvements made recently, and I've been enjoying watching him. Michael Kessa versus Max Griffin, the jiu-jitsu nerd, got it done. Max Griffin, I thought he would just have a major advantage on the feet, which I think he did, man. Every single time Kessa was throwing hands, it looked like Ronda Rousey, Juliana Pena, Gracie out there in their primes. But yeah, the grappling was just too much. He's so big as a welterweight, such a weight bully. He's pretty much just Gracie, but a weight bully. Therefore, he's able to actually impose his will over his opponents. Then we get into Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. This was a good fight. Arguably fight of the night. Arguably, I thought it was great. There were some fantastic striking exchanges, but Joshua Van just showed the difference between them on the feet. His hands looked great. Did I predict a KO? I think I predicted a decision victory for Joshua Van, which he got. Body work was nasty. He was gassing out Cody Durden, and Cody Durden was panic shooting for takedowns. I believe he was just hurt, but he was shooting for takedowns so that he could just hit the mat without, I guess, having a knockdown scored against him is what it seemed like to me. Yeah, because Josh was seriously putting hands on him, and it was mostly just one-way traffic, especially on the feet. Joshua Van's a beast. Such a fun fighter to watch. Quick hands, great boxing. Yeah, love him. Great prospect. Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Dude, we fucking got it. We got Chris Weidman. We got Chris Weidman KO'd in 2024, just before the end of the year. Let's go. Just to cap it off, man. Just to cap it off. I feel like 2025 will just be a great year off the back of Chris Weidman being KO'd by Eric Anders. The first round was pretty good. I think Weidman hurt Eric Anders with like a check left, right? That is his best punch, I believe. But Eric Anders just ground and pounded him. I didn't expect it. At a certain point, it looked like Weidman just had no interest in getting off his back. I think he was just way more hurt and or gassed than it appeared at the time. But yeah, Eric Anders just pounded him and ground and pound finish. And I think we're all better off for it, to be honest with you guys. And then we get into the prelims, the opener, Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. This was controversial, maybe. Brian Battle misses weight and then gets a decision victory. Some people would call it a robbery. Personally, I was scoring the third round for Randy Brown. Now, even though I picked Brian Battle to win, I did pick him to win. I can't be biased here. I feel like Randy Brown maybe deserved the win there. Am I wrong in saying that? I think he did enough in that third round. I think he did more damage to Brian Battle in that third to take it, therefore taking the fight, in my opinion. But it was close. I'd have to rewatch it before making or coming to like a genuine conclusion on that. I'm not too sure right now. The fight is a bit fuzzy to me. Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling, and I'm glad this fight was on the prelims now. Like, in hindsight, this fight should have been on the prelims. Aljamain Sterling has no interest in throwing any punches, doing any damage. How do you expect to win fights? At least Movsar was going after submissions, and he was chasing finishes. Aljamain Sterling fucking sucks to watch. Please keep him on the prelims going forward. I understand the rationale now. Absolutely. Aljamain Sterling is boring. He's a nerd as well. He's a dork. Just keep him off the main card going forward. And I would say just feed him to young up and comers, because at this point, like Sterling, if you're not going to go in there and show any interest in actually fighting, then you have no place in the UFC. In my personal opinion, he doesn't fight. He just doesn't fight. There's no way to classify what Aljamain Sterling does as fighting, because he doesn't throw hands. He does not throw hands. Everything he throws, arm punches, window dressing bullshit. And that's all. Was not impressed at all, but a good performance from Movsar Evloev, because, regardless of what you think about Aljamain Sterling, right, I fucking hate the guy as a fighter, but he is still dangerous on the ground, and Movsar did very well to deal with his grappling, so I think we got a pretty good idea of how elite Evloev's wrestling is. I still think Topuria cleans him out in a couple of rounds, though. Then we get into Vicente Luque versus Themba Grimbo, maybe one of the most satisfying results of the night. Everyone was picking against Vicente Luque. I picked Vicente Luque, I think, by first round knockout. I just thought that he was too much on the feet. He did end up dropping Grimbo with, I think, a signature left hook. Man, his left hook has always been money. Landed on the chin, dropped Grimbo, and then got him in his other signature move, which is the Dars. Finished him. He's back. Is he back for a title run? I hope so, but I doubt it. I do doubt it. I think at the top of the division, he'll still get beat. But I'm just so glad that he's still in it, and he's not being beaten by guys like Themba Grimbo, because I feel like Vicente Luque is being used to build up Themba Grimbo, and he's a likable guy, Grimbo. He is, but he's just not elite. He isn't. He's a good wrestler, but on the feet, he's trash, in all honesty. So I expected Vicente Luque to have easy work of him, and that's exactly what the fuck happened, and I'm glad to see it. Dominic Reyes, I picked him. It was either first round or second round KO, and this was a sad one, dude. I feel like Anthony Smith needs to retire. It seems like he's not doing this for the right reasons anymore. It's almost like he's trying to fight his demons. It was a sad post-fight speech as well. The dude wasn't sure about retiring. He was talking about his coach that passed away. Like, I feel for Anthony Smith. He's a likable dude. He does seem like a genuine guy. But at this point, you've had like around 60 fights, dude. You've had around 60 fights. Just please hang it up. We don't need to see you shed blood anymore. We don't need to see you get beat up anymore. Dominic Reyes was landing some clean left hands, dude, in that first round. And yeah, it was just a matter of time the way I saw it. Dominic Reyes put on a great performance, and we need this title run. Like, is it possible that in 2025 we get Vicente Luque, Dominic Reyes comeback season? Is it possible? We get title runs from them both? Listen, it's unlikely, but I'm gonna say absolutely we're getting that. Absolutely. And then we move on to the main card here. Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. I did pick Doo Ho Choi. Did I think he would KO him? I think I predicted that he would KO him earlier. But he got it done in the third round and just put on a well-rounded, masterful performance. Showed incredible improvements in the grappling as well, and was just way ahead of Nate Landwehr with the boxing, as I expected. I thought that would be the difference maker for Doo Ho Choi, that his hands would just be way cleaner. And he did, and he throws bombs, and he has great technique. He's just different than Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr doesn't pack a huge punch. He's all about pressure, but he was outclassed here, as expected. Doo Ho Choi, yeah, great finish. He's back too. Dude, title run, comeback Doo Ho Choi as well. Dominic Reyes, Vicente Luque, Doo Ho Choi injected into my veins. I need those title runs in 2025. Please give it to me. Then we get to Bryce Mitchell versus Gracie. Now, right off the back of my Gracie family expose, to see the way that this fight took place, right? To see the way this fight ended up so poetically in the third round, early in the third round, Gracie, he attempts to pull guard, and then he gets knocked out because of it. Oh boy, Bryce Mitchell posts up with his forearm on the jaw of Gracie, slams him on his head. Looks like he was already pretty much out of it then. All it took was one elbow from Bryce Mitchell to completely put him out, and then another one that was brutal as hell. It was a nasty knockout. It was a nasty one. Gracie, he's crap. Cut him from the UFC. He shouldn't be on the roster, right? Just because his name is Gracie. The guy's 5-3. I get that he has a win in the UFC against Alex Caceres or some shit like that. He just never looks improved in any one of his fights. He's still pulling guard like that. in 2024. Cut him from the roster. He doesn't deserve to fight in the UFC, in my opinion. Then we get into Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov. What a robbery this was. Ciryl Gane allegedly broke his toes or something, or like one or two of his toes, broke his foot or some shit like that. I don't know. Broke his vagina in the first round. It did make sense, to be honest, because he was moving around a little bit funny, right? His footwork wasn't as solid as it usually is, and Volkov was catching him, and I think he just clearly won this fight. I think rounds 2 and 3 were clearly his. I mean, there's even an argument to score the first round for Volkov as well, because once the fight got back to the feet, he was having more success. But then again, I think I'd have to watch the first round over again. But yeah, Adelaide Bird fired this lady. The only reason I can think of for Adelaide Bird still having a job is corruption, because she's known for being a terrible judge. She's known for putting out awful scorecards, and she's known for robbing Triple G against Canelo. And now she's known for robbing Volkov against Ciryl Gane. So Adelaide Bird, if she continues to work after this fight as well, then that is, in my opinion, just clear proof of corruption. And that's as simple as it is, right? Volkov, I thought his post-fight press conference appearance was great as well. Hilarious, suggesting that Adelaide Bird liked the physique of Ciryl Gane more than his, which is definitely fair, man. Ciryl Gane has a great physique, one of the best physiques in the game, I would say. Top 2 at the very least. But Volkov won that fight, right? He won that fight. Absolutely. Should be 1-1 with Ciryl Gane. It's also possible that maybe the judges gave Ciryl Gane the fight in order to make John Jones look better, right? Because what if Volkov had a win over Ciryl Gane as well, right? Right? How does that make John Jones' resume look exactly? Makes it look pretty padded, right? That win wouldn't age as well, I guess, if someone else was able to beat Ciryl Gane, right? That's all I'm saying. I think it's weird. Let's get into the co-main here. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Garry. I thought it was a clear win for Rakhmonov, but it was still close, right? Just because it was a clear win, because you have to score rounds 1, 2, and I believe 4 for Shavkat. You have to. There's no way to score those rounds for Ian Garry. But Ian, I thought, put a pretty good performance. Very, very much safe as I was expecting. And this fight ended up being boring as I kind of expected. I didn't expect a war, but I did expect Shavkat to eventually wear on Ian Garry and finish him. He made Shavkat look human, especially when he had his back. Shit was looking a little scary for him towards the end there. But it was an okay fight. It was a chess match, yeah, sure, but it wasn't a great fight. It really wasn't. And like the fact that I heard people shitting on Merab for his performance against O'Malley, but people like shit on Shavkat and Ian Garry for putting up this performance in a 5-round fight. That shit was boring. It was boring. The only exciting times were honestly in the 5th round when Ian Garry had Shavkat's back, because there was genuine danger involved. But Shavkat landed a few nice right hands. Ian didn't have a whole lot of success on the feet other than throwing leg kicks, oblique kicks as well. But it was I don't know. It was an okay fight, but I still think Shavkat's a terrible matchup for Bilal, in all honesty. But yeah, I guess Ian Garry was always a tough stylistic matchup for Shavkat Rakhmonov to look good in at the end of the day. So I think, yeah, stylistically, Shavkat still beats a lot of these guys at the top of welterweight, but he definitely looked a lot more human than usual here. Then we get into the main event, Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Now, I believe that I predicted a 4th round finish for Pantoja. I did think that he would hurt Kai Asakura on the feet, especially because it was Kai Asakura's first time cutting down to 125, I believe. So he was already a bit chinny at 135. So you'd expect him to be a bit chinny. I think the first left hook that Pantoja landed actually hurt Asakura really bad. And I gave Asakura too much credit. I thought he would have more success in this fight, but he was exposed on the ground. He was just in a completely different realm than Pantoja, right? Like, Pantoja is elite as far as grapplers goes. He's by far the best at flyweight right now. He will toy with anybody on the ground, and he is simply one of, if not, like he honestly is. If you look at the resume of wins from Pantoja at this point, right, this current title run that he's on, there's an argument that Pantoja has surpassed Demetrius Johnson as the greatest flyweight of all time at this point, when you think about it, right? Because DJ was beating the best guys that were available at the time, but I feel like Pantoja is beating much better competition, much better. Putting up a lot of title defenses. At this point, he's super underrated, and I know I will get some DJ super fans in here talking about, it's a little bit too early to talk about the greatest flyweight, but at the end of the day, like, I understand that his title run wasn't as long as DJ's, or it's not as long as DJ's, But I just feel like the competition has been so elite that he's been fighting, right? He's beating champions from other organizations. Asakura looked like the one to beat him. A lot of people were picking Asakura here. But, dude, he made easy work of him. He made it look so easy. Just think about who he's beaten recently. Brandon Moreno multiple times. Imagine if he had that Figgy win. I feel like it would just be a unanimous thing. And I'm not saying that he is the greatest flyweight of all time, but he is approaching it 100%. At the very least, I think it's possible that he is the flyweight GOAT, but I would have to really reconsider that. But I think as far as overall greatness, DJ is still ahead of him because of his run in one FC and the fact that he won that Adriano Moraes trilogy. I rate that win, or those 2 wins over Adriano Moraes, extremely highly. As far as outside the UFC fights, I feel like that is one of the best wins that any fighter who's left the UFC has picked up. You know what I mean? I feel like it's very comparable to some of the elite wins. I think that Moraes could be a top 5 flyweight in the UFC, potentially even challenge for the title. I do think so. I think he's that good and he's that big as well. But I think he fights at 135. So DJ was even undersized there. So that's why I struggle to say he's greater than DJ overall. But as far as UFC flyweights, there's an argument there, 100% now. Pantoja is the man. He's humble. Fucking man's man. Dude comes out and just completely dog-walked Asakura. Asakura, his dangerous knees came into play. He was spamming those every single time. He was timing them well. Pantoja doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit, right? Whatever you could throw at him, he doesn't care. He eats it. Nom, nom, nom. He doesn't give a fuck. Damage is not a thing to him. It really isn't. And I love Pantoja. He's that guy. Anyone who says he's a boring champion is overrated. No. Pantoja deserves to be top 3 pound for pound right now, I think it's got to be Islam, Ilia Topuria, and probably Pantoja right now, and then maybe DDP, Alex Pereira. Like they're in the mix. I'm sorry, I honestly forgot about Alex Pereira in the moment, but Islam, Alex Pereira, Pantoja, DDP, Ilia Topuria. I think that's the pound for pound top 5 as things stand right now. Pantoja is the man, and I personally don't see anyone beating him for a long time. I think it'll take Pantoja getting into the war that acts as like the straw that broke the camel's back, and completely depletes his chin, and then I can see him getting beaten. But if you can't KO Pantoja, you can't keep him off. How are you going to beat him? I just don't see it personally. I really don't see it. But that was a pretty good card. As I said, did lose some steam towards the end of it. I was at a comedy show as well. I was watching a Dane Cook comedy show in the middle of this, but I had my phone on watching the fights in the midst of this comedy show, and it was great. I really enjoyed the fights, dude. I was paying attention to them, by the way. Then when I got home, I rushed home to watch the main card, and I was honestly thinking, dude, other way around would have been better. I feel like I could have just taken a nap during the Shavkat Ian Garry fight, but it is what it is. The card was okay, but I'm just happy to see that a lot of the fighters I wanted to win did end up winning. And comeback season 2025, dude. Vicente Luque, Dominic Reyes, Duho Choi, they're coming, and they look better than ever. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one.